I thought honesty would make things better. I thought being open about my feelings would lead to a conversation, maybe even growth. I didn't expect it to end everything in a single moment. I said one sentence, and my relationship was over. Before I continue, take a moment to subscribe. These are real-life stories about love, mistakes, and the lessons people learn when it's already too late. If stories like this make you think, you're in the right place. My boyfriend and I had been together for almost 2 years. From the outside, we looked stable. We didn't fight much. We got along well. Friends liked us as a couple. He was kind, dependable, and consistent, the kind of man people describe as a good guy. And that was part of the problem. Somewhere along the way, I started feeling restless, not unhappy exactly, just unsatisfied in a way I didn't know how to explain. I loved him, but I didn't feel excited anymore. Attraction felt muted. Routine had taken over everything. I didn't cheat, I didn't flirt openly, but in my head I started wondering what else was out there, other people, other connections, other versions of myself. That curiosity scared me. I tried to ignore it at first. I told myself attraction fades in long relationships, that comfort matters more, that wanting more was immature. But the thoughts didn't go away. Instead of talking to friends or a therapist, I decided to be brave in the worst possible way. One evening, we were sitting on the couch after dinner. The TV was on, but neither of us was watching. I felt this pressure in my chest, like if I didn't say something right then, I'd explode. So I said it. I told him I wasn't as attracted to him anymore. He looked at me, confused, like he hadn't heard me correctly. I kept going. I told him I sometimes thought about being with other people, that I wondered what it would be like, that I didn't want to cheat, but I didn't want to lie either. I said all of this like I was sharing a thought, not dropping a bomb. I expected questions, I expected hurt, I expected an argument. What I didn't expect was how fast everything ended. He went quiet, completely still, then he stood up. He didn't raise his voice, he didn't insult me, he didn't try to convince me I was wrong. He just said, "If you want others, I'm not standing in the way." I laughed nervously and said I didn't mean I wanted to leave. I said I just wanted to be honest. I said we could work through it. He shook his head. He told me something I wasn't prepared to hear. He said, "I don't want to be with someone who is staying with me while wishing for someone else." That sentence hit harder than any insult ever could. I tried to explain. I said attraction is complicated. I said feelings change. I said honesty should count for something. He listened calmly, then he said, "Honesty doesn't cancel disrespect." That's when I realized he wasn't going to argue. He told me he loved me, but he loved himself too, and staying in a relationship where his partner wanted others would slowly destroy him. Then he said we were done. Just like that. I cried, I begged, I told him I didn't think he'd leave so quickly, that I thought we'd talk more. He looked at me with sadness, not anger, and said, "You didn't hesitate to tell me you weren't attracted to me. I'm not going to hesitate to protect myself." That was the moment everything shifted. He packed a bag and left that night. The silence afterward was unbearable. No fighting, no drama, just the sudden absence of someone who had been part of my daily life. At first, I told myself he overreacted. I told myself mature couples talk about these things. I told myself he was insecure. But as days turned into weeks, those excuses started to fall apart. I replayed the conversation again and again, not to blame him but to understand myself. What I slowly realized was this: I hadn't just shared a feeling, I had handed him a comparison he never asked for. By telling him I wanted others, I had told him he wasn't enough, and no amount of honesty makes that easy to hear. I also realized something uncomfortable. I hadn't actually wanted to lose him. I wanted reassurance. I wanted excitement without risk. I wanted him to fight for me, to prove something, to make me feel chosen again. Instead, he chose himself. That hurt my pride more than my heart at first. Friends were divided. Some said I did the right thing by being honest. Others said some thoughts don't need to be shared unless you're ready for the consequences. The truth landed somewhere in the middle. Honesty without care can still be cruel. Wanting others doesn't make you a bad person, but telling your partner that without understanding what it costs them can end a relationship instantly. Months later, we talked once more, not to get back together, just for closure. He told me he didn't hate me. He said he understood curiosity and attraction, but he needed to feel chosen fully, not conditionally. He said something that stayed with me. He said, "I don't want to compete with imaginary people in your head." That's when I truly understood why he left so fast. Love isn't just about truth, it's about safety, about knowing you're not being compared, evaluated, or kept as an option while someone looks for something better. I thought I was being brave. What I was really being was careless with someone else's heart. I don't regret being honest with myself, but I regret how I delivered that honesty. I regret assuming love would wait patiently while I figured myself out. Some people won't. And that doesn't make them weak, it makes them self-aware. If you're feeling unattracted, restless, or curious in your relationship, pause before you speak. Ask yourself what you truly want: reassurance, change, or an exit. Because once you tell someone you want others, you can't be surprised when they decide not to be one of them. If this story made you reflect, subscribe for more real-life stories about relationships, self-awareness, and the consequences of saying the quiet part out loud.